Hey Rise, hey fellow warriors of the FGC, it's your boy. I'm back with a calm head, sharp mind, and here to slay some bad takes with a smile. So let's go for it. First off, Rise, I want to appreciate the good faith discussion. Today's kind of conversations are rare in today's FGC, and I'm happy to continue this via stream, DM, or anywhere that promotes healthy dialogue. Some of your points I agree with, others not so much. And that's what makes this fun. Sometimes we're not debating facts, but flavor. Vanilla versus chocolate. And while you can't say someone's wrong for liking one, maybe you can help them appreciate both. That's what I'm going to try and do here. Because I think the discussion does get too lost and laser focused on particular things, and when you laser focus, you get tunnel vision, and you forget that this whole world and everything we do has to live in context. Like, you know what something is because you can compare it to other things. And I think when we just focus on one move, one example, it hurts that context. So let's see if we can land in that space of appreciation. So first, I just want to preface this with a motto I do live by: a wise person thanks you when he's corrected, and a fool gets angry. And I say that because I'm here. I can be corrected. If the data is really something that is reasonable and makes sense, well, that's what I'm about, a balanced take. So if you show me something I missed, I'll thank you. And that's how we sharpen each other, right? Okay, so point one, you said, new moves erase weakness, thus destroying identity. And I'm going to focus on this one point because the last videos have been a little long, right? Which is okay, but it might be better saved for a stream or something like that, right? So let's break down this nuance of what you're saying. New moves erase weaknesses and destroy character identity. Yes, each character gets about 1 to 3 new moves, and it's a small change when you look at an entire character's toolkit of hundreds of moves. And even if a player doesn't use the 100 moves and they just use, we'll say 20, 30 moves, it usually ends up to be about a 1 to 4% change in their toolkit. That means about 96 to 99% of the character remains. But I understand your claim because it's not about quantity, and that's fair, what you're saying. It's that these moves erase core weaknesses and alter identity, is what you're saying, which might be more of a fair take than what we've heard people say destroy character identity. But let's dig a little bit deeper here. So now we should ask, what even is character identity? What is character weakness? You bring up Asuka, who's long been known for defense. Let's walk through her. So, case study of Asuka's identity. Many say Asuka's no longer a defensive powerhouse. She's now both offensive and defensive. But is that identity destruction or identity evolution? And there's an important difference here. Let's look at can kicks. I think that'll help us discuss this more. So the main man suite called that move defensive, but they do damage. So are they really defensive, or attacks that work well in defensive situations? Let's define terms a little bit deeper here. I think it'll help the discussion. So we know what true defense is, which would be movement based, no attack component, like backdash, sidestep, sidewalk, KBD. But then you also have what I'd call active defense, and I think what most players are calling active defense. That's an attack used in a defensive context, like can kicks are used many times. So yes, Asuka has strong active defense tools and defensive tools, but let's not forget, nearly every character has similar tools too. Whether it's Orang's active defensive move of up back four, where he jumps backwards and kicks, similar to her defensive move of flipping over and getting out of dodge. Both of them kind of get them out of dodge, or we could say Fang's Kempo stance, right? Leo's back sway. There's lots of defensive tools. So the ideas and identity isn't just one move, right? Because we would say it's how the whole kit interacts with itself, and then not only how that kit interacts with itself, the broader roster. So identity is comparative and it's not isolated when we're just looking at one kick. Uh, but let's dig even a little bit deeper here. Let's be honest and think about Asuka in Tekken 7. She was B tier, mid tier. She almost never won any major tournaments. She has defensive tools, yes, but they weren't enough to compete with the characters like Leroy, Akuma, Geese, or even Julia. So the question becomes, should a character like Asuka be locked in B tier forever? If we claim new offensive tools erase her identity, then we're also saying she must remain stuck in that tier that guarantees she won't win majors forever. That she will be forced to be in that B tier and mid tier because she has to stay a defensive character. And that's not a fair expectation to the character or to the players who love her. So evolution doesn't equal destruction. So do her new offensive tools change her a bit? Yes, they do, right? But destroy her? No. She still has her defensive strengths, arguably more than most of the cast, and that's absolutely true. Now she also has tools to compete. Is she currently overtuned? Yep, I would agree. She's currently overtuned. Should she be adjusted? Yes, but not back to irrelevance. They shouldn't nerf her so back where this meta doesn't change for her. Otherwise, if it doesn't change for her or any character, then we should just say, well, sorry, Mr. Character, you're always stuck in your tier because we don't want to change your identity. But the reality is, we should evolve them in smart, simple ways. So the same deal with Horong's new tracking low. You mentioned his new low has an identity breaking, but let's dig in a little bit. His down back 4-4 already is a low at only 16 frames and already had tracking. His 4-4 relines and catches sidesteppers, so there was already options to catch sidesteppers. And his new right flamingo stands 4-3. On paper is strong, but most characters can sidestep and whiff punish it on block. It really seems like a strong move because a lot of players see it ending up being +4, but you can sidestep. I think it might be even 100% of the follow-ups from that. It is a lot. You can sidestep in his fastest option, the jab, to try and keep the characters honest. It'll whiff and you can punish them. If you try something bigger, most of it's going to whiff and you get a launcher. So although these new moves may seem strong, it just takes time in the lab and replay to counter a lot of these. So, and I'll get to that more a little bit later. But so does this ruin his identity? No, he still plays the same. You beat Harong by learning when to duck, when to block, when to sidestep. All that really hasn't changed. And lore-wise, Baek Dosan fans or Baek Dosan fans should recognize that Harong inherited flavor from Baek, just like King has Armor King flavor, and just how Jack shares DNA with Gigas. Like, these are things that weren't unknown in Tekken, but they've add to the flavor and evolve these characters. But to get back to, I think, what would be a proper concern of yours is, when is a move too much, where it's like drastically changes the character identity, like they are no longer who they are at all. And that's a good question. I would say it's when it covers too many options and it removes counterplay. If you have a move that removes too many options and it removes counterplay, then I would agree with you, and that's kind of a case-by-case basis. Moves that would be perfect examples would be like Jax Make Some Noise. Some characters had no counterplay, while others did. Or the unblockable pokes that Paul had. Again, there's no counterplay to an unblockable poke. It just was there, and they rightfully patched that out 5 days after season two. So a lot of these new moves we're talking about, they're not like that. There is counterplay. That's not the case here. Even Asuka's strong new strings have duck options. Even Hirong's new low can be blocked or crushed. These are not unanswerable tools. So reasonable meta shifts also are healthy for a community. Because do these little shifts shift the meta? Yep, they do. Is that bad? Not at all. Games must evolve to stay alive, otherwise they get stale. And I'm not sure if you've stuck with the game long after it's being updated. People get bored of it. You get bored of it. There needs to be shifts in meta, so there's always kind of discovery. That's kind of the fun of video games too. Is we love to discover things as video game players, and fighting games allow some of the most richest labbing and discovery and theory craft that you can do. And if it's all figured out, then there's nothing else left to do. So meta shifts like that are good. And also for Asuka, finally got a chance to be relevant. That is definitely worth something. Competitive matches are still happening. It's the game isn't broken, it's dynamic. And I think that's really something to think about. Most of the characters didn't have a tier shift. There were a few, arguably Lars, definitely Asuka we can speak to. But again, are we to say that a character should never change, that they'll always be stuck in their tier? No, that's unreasonable. And yes, a move might be overtuned. Like I said, I myself think she's a bit overtuned, but they should not nerf these moves so much that she doesn't enjoy some additional success like she's seen. And if the success was overblown, like we'll say like launch Leroy, yeah, obviously, right, that needs to be toned down. But she's not. She's being beat in tournaments. She's doing better in tournaments. And I'm excited to see how she does at Evo because she is a better character. Let's see if she can break top 10. That would be good. So my final thought is old school wisdom. So back in the day, the FGC had a saying, if every character feels OP, the game is probably fun and balanced. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 wasn't a perfect game, but it was legendary. Today we seem to want bland oatmeal instead of a delicious high-quality steak. And I'm not on board with that. As I said, if we laser focus on these things and we get tunnel vision and we're not able to see that when we compare it against the whole move sets, the whole roster, it hasn't been identity destruction. It's been identity evolution. And there needs to be evolution. Otherwise, it gets stale and boring. Otherwise, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I've really enjoyed our discussions because these are good faith discussions, and they don't devolve into what we normally see at Twitter, where people are just name calling and things like that. Hopefully, between us, we can help level up at least our little part of the discourse and continue this great discussion. Again, we don't have to agree to disagree. I'm not telling you you have to like chocolate if you love vanilla. I'm just hoping that you get an appreciation for it at some level. Take it easy, Rise. Take it easy, fellow warriors, the FGC. Remember, keep your head calm, keep your mind sharp, and slay some bad takes with a smile. See you guys.